Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host for this live podcast. Here to fight CPS and hang on to your children. Get your children back. I know most of you that first tuned in, you don't know what this podcast is about, and there's several parts to it. This is all about the Child Protection System, which is a branch of social services that is posed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, and also to help out families in need, food, shelter, clothing, medical, schooling. And furthermore, if the family is broken apart by the Child Protection System, CPS is what I call it, there's supposed to be reunification, because studies have proven that the best parents are the biological parents. So we need to fix any problems you may have, or you may be one of those many people that are falsely accused because of your living conditions. Maybe you're low income or in between jobs or struggling, or you have a spouse that you're upset with or angry with, whatever the case may be. I'm here to offer you suggestions, ideas. I'm not an attorney, but I do have access to an attorney who will talk to you, and I'll explain to that further. Now, to get started here, this podcast is broadcast on YouTube and use the StreamYard application. And with that being said, the podcast is live, and so you can interact with this podcast. Now, one of the first steps of interacting with the podcast is you can be a listener, just like you are right now, and you can listen to what I have to say, and then take notes and use emojis. Also, please subscribe down below. Subscribe to my podcast so you know when my podcasts are coming up. Now, my podcasts are every day, Monday through Sunday, 2 times a day, and they come on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time and 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time. They're approximately 1 hour long. Now, there are exceptions. On Sunday, every Sunday, I start at 8 o'clock, 2 hours earlier, because of the family and I, we all have church that Sunday morning. If you hear background sounds, I am outside about 1 mile from the beach, and it's a beautiful day in Surf City, USA. There's lightly clouds, so it looks more like fog clouds, but we do have blue sky, and it should be a very beautiful day. So I'm here to help you. I, too, was involved in CPS, and I had a horrific time. I have 6 children, and I've been married for 31 years. So with that being said, I have much years of experience. Another way that you may get anxious because you want to say something or talk about something, all I'm asking you to do is that we have a thing called comments. There's a comment section, and it's very important you follow these directions. I put it up on my screen, but it says, when you're typing in the comments, make sure it pertains to the Child Protection System, CPS. We're in this room for the child protection issues. Comments or questions, those are what I'm looking for. And I will try to answer them, and also people in this room will help you out. Now, please show your name. And you'll probably say, well, there's already a name. Well, a lot of the names sometimes are fancy names that you've given yourself on Facebook or YouTube. And it says like Crocodile Dundee or Fantastic Expressions or The Light of the Moment. What I'm looking for is names like Bob and Bill and Peggy and Sue and Mary and those kinds of names. So just put your first name. Then I'd like to know the city and state you're from, and um, or the county if you don't know your city or state. Well, the county and the state, yeah. Also, some of you, there's about 13 countries that are come in on my podcast with CPS problems. So if you're from a country, I'd like your city and country. And some of the countries have been Bangladesh and India and Africa and Europe, Canada, of course, the United States, Mexico, uh, Guyana in South America, and then Australia. Those are some of the countries, and um, they're welcome too as much as you are. Everybody's welcome in here if they be nice and they respect one another and help one another. I'm here as a family man to give you my experiences in CPS. They were horrible. I've been fighting CPS for 15 years. And my first 5 years were very difficult times. What I mean by that is that I was working up to the age of 60. And in 2010, I lost my job through no fault of my own. Not because of my performance, not because of no work. Is that we had government contracts that were being held up and the owner couldn't keep me on. So I was going through a lot of issues at that time, but I was unaware of how the allegations of um, child abuse and negligence can be abused. What I mean by that is that there are two types of people that call in to the child protection system. One is the lay people, which your everyday people, your neighbor, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your family members, maybe the person down the street, were those lay people. And the other group is professionals like doctors and teachers and policemen and firemen and principals and counselors and nurses and all kinds of people. They are required by law to report any suspected abuse. That's why sometimes you're at the hospital and they call on you. Or if you have a squabble with the police and they contact CPS. They're the ones that have to by law. And most of the times they're correct. I don't know too many professionals that want to abuse the system. But the lay people is another example of abuse. They really want to abuse the system. They really want to abuse the system. And with those kinds of people, you have to be careful. In my case, my in-law, my in-law mother and father, and my wife's brothers and sisters, one brother and three there, were really doing that. So it was um, really kind of hard when you have to fight with them. I did not know at the time, but they would call in once a week. Oh, your kids are not in school. Your kids are dirty. Your kids don't have clothing. They're not eating. And you have to mind me. I'm a career man. I've worked, 60 years of my life, and I have always taken care of my family. We had a beautiful home. It was so beautiful. It was my dream home I worked 40 years for. I already lost one of my homes in Kauai with another unfortunate incident in my life. I had a home in the islands, but anyway, I was living in a private community with CCNRs a mile from the beach in a huge home. But I had to sell it to get an attorney to defend me because you'll find out that a court-appointed attorney will not work and pro se will not work. I'll explain to you more about those. I'm trying to tell you that this CPS really got out of hand, and you have to be wary of the lay people making false allegations. Now, furthermore, when you type in a comment, make sure you're complete with your case. I like to hear, what your family structure is, who are the children, the ages, and what were the allegations, and how were they taken from your home? How were they taken from your home? And then where are you at on your case right now? Where are you at on your case right now? So uh, I'm here to help you. I care about you. I know what you're going through. So you can text in the comments and I'll respond. A third way of with this podcast of interacting is to be a guest on my podcast. I can have up to 9 people as guests. It can hold 10 people, 10 different windows. It gets smaller as it goes. The other day I had 2 other people. We had 3 in the room. The most I've had is 4. And so I'm telling you that you may want to stand up and talk about your case, or you may want to help others that text in or talk about their case. They may do there. So I have a show producer. Her name is Grace. She works hard behind the scenes, taking care of the room, and I really like uh, having that support. And I thank her for what she does. You can email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. All you have to do is put in, I want to be on Bob's Sunday morning show, or Bob's Friday evening show, or Bob's Wednesday morning show, or Bob's Monday evening show. You just name one of the 14 shows, and she'll contact you. Give the link to StreamYard, which I'm using right now on YouTube. And that being said, that link will help you um, get on the show with me. Also, she'll go over the rules and what to do on the be a guest on the podcast. You can't eat or smoke during the podcast. That's even snacking. You can't use the first names of children, social workers, or judges. And so, with that being said, I really hope uh, that you be my guest because I love to have you. Again, that's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Now, the fourth way is to talk to me on the phone. Now, my phone is live, which means you can call me now, and that's my office number. It's 626-698-0990. It's live, and you can talk on it, ask questions. I'll put you on speakerphone, and you can feel free to ask your questions and maybe help out others and other people listening and so forth. So that is the fourth way. Now, being in the room was one, and type in emojis. Two, by doing comments, you can communicate with me and ask the questions. Three is to be a guest, and four is to call me on my phone. Now, I want to welcome to Tanyo916. I hope I'm pronouncing your name Tanyo. I think it's Tanyo. Sure, I'd love you to ask me a question about child protection system. What city, state, or country are you from? What city, state, or country are you from? We have Taniel that has a question, and we'll try to help her. Do you want to call in Taniel, or you want to type in your question? Okay, I guess Tanya is still trying to type her question in. I like to um, get back to you. Get back to the show here and talk about things here. Um, um, Now, there are five rules I've come up with. One is to get an attorney. Two is to get a notebook and organize your paperwork. Three is to learn to say no to social workers and police and not let them in your home and not let them take your children and not open the door. And there's medical transfer. Four is to research the internet 40, 60 hours to look for your thing. And five is to have a special folder with all your important documents of your children, like their birth certificate, social security, their grade reports, maybe a copy of your marriage certificate, your copy of your license, and so forth. You need all those documentations, and you have them in one spot, so that way you have them. But anyway, those are my five rules I went over kind of quickly. But I like to, while Daniel's trying to type in a question, I'm going to sit here and talk about some CPS topics that I ran across. Um, and one of the questions that someone asked was, how can a biological parent know if their children are taken through CPS and the children are adopted if they're still living? Now, in answer to this question, I assume even with your lack of, I mean, that the children were removed from the biological parents' home, the bio parents failed to do whatever was required to get them back. Um, so the court terminated the parental rights, and the children have since been adopted. You're asking if the bio parents have any way of getting information to children. The short answer is no, unless their parents want the bio parents to have contact with their children. The bio parents are legally no more entitled to information on those children than they are any other random strangers. Once the children are adults, they can choose to try and track down the bio parents if they feel some need to do so. What the bio parents can do is sign up with every website and organization they can find that works to reunite the bio parents and adopted children who choose to search for one another. Because the children decide they want to find, that's where it all starts. Now, another CPS question came up, and I'll say it out here. I want to argue CPS should be allowed to bypass the Fourth Amendment because they are not law enforcement and they have compelling interests in protecting children, but they don't do people pretend if CPS is to get our kids. Now, I mean, I've learned that Child Protection Service does not warrant our respect. Who's supervising these children? Well, I was the sole other parent in this fenced up playground. I was sitting on the play structure reading a book as my oldest son, 5 at the time, and two friends raced around playing. The couple that kept wondering about out loud who out of one another adult present was watching these children could have been weirder. She looked to be no more than 40. He looked to be almost 50. They were long raincoats on a lovely day, and their son, grandson, about 4, was not allowed out from between them. He looked like the sun had never shone on his face, pale as a ghost. They stood there. Ordinary, you expect the boy to join in with the other three, but no. One of my son's friends dove onto my back. I pulled him over my arm, flipping him over, and off he ran, still playing. I heard the couple muttering darkly. At length we walked home. Our house backed up to the park. Next day I got a phone call from a perfectly disagreeable woman from Child Protection Service. She insisted on coming over immediately. Well, that's the mistake. You don't allow that. You don't talk to them on the phone. You can say something very easy on the phone. I'll have my lawyer contact you. What's your name and phone number? That will shut them up. That will get them off your back. At one point, she tried to shut me up by blurting, "Do you want me to bring the police with me?" And sure, if you want. Almost a full hour of even weirder weirdness. She was obviously convinced that I was a child beater. We didn't use corporate punishment, and she insisted on taking my oldest son into the park alone for a talk for almost a half an hour. On return, she said in a officious manner, "Well, he did not reveal anything that gives me grounds to take further action," but she lectured me for another 10 minutes anyway. And it was outlandish enough that I made a phone call to my son's best friend's father, a child psychologist. What did I learn? By all means, yes. Require them to bring the police. The police will take a quick look and see if the already home have the left with them. Studies have shown that more than half of the time the persons finally report to CPS is the one actually in need of intervention. That's sad to say. That's 50% of all these lay people making reports. CPS personnel have little training to become professional in conduct or assertion situation. That is so true. My worker was in her early 20s. She had no college degree, nothing she learned in social work, and she had no mentor. And right away, she's entrusted with my family. She thinks she's a psychiatrist that can prescribe drugs, and it was terrible. It was terrible. He indicated CPS frequently made matters worse. That in the future, I should phone him to be on hand to keep the matter from getting out of hand. I don't know child protection, if the general public is having us on, but the story about CPS, per this trained professional, was that CPS, far from being professional, uses can be a real problem. I'm only sharing that as a scenario, how easy it is. You shouldn't really talk to CPS, and you shouldn't talk to the police. And the police, most of the time, are brought out, and they want to take your child. They're not in danger. So that was the thing about bypassing the Fourth Amendment. Now, here's a good one here, this article here. I'm still waiting for Daniel 916 to tell me where he's from or she's from and what is your question so I can help you. Also, again, I'd like to report my number is up 626 698 0990. Now, what are some ways to prevent Child Protection Services, the CPS system, from taking your child for neglect if their allegations are false? Now, if you know the allegations are false, what are some ways? In my opinion, my single mother's friend had that problem. So I made a contract for her to have the social worker sign. Then they could take the kids after reading the contract. That's sort of a change of um, they left her alone. After they read the contract, they left her alone. I didn't know that would work. You have a social worker sign a contract, then they could take the kids. It was a simple contract that if they took her kids, then the social workers would be personally monetary liable for all damages the kid made and legally responsible for any and all crimes the kid committed. It also mentioned that since minors cannot own property, taking the clothes the children were wearing constitutes theft. Side note, the kids have been told that if any adult touches them anywhere at all, they're to scream bloody murder. Since their entire body was there, then any touch was a bad touch, and they should scream for social workers to stop touching me in a bad place. So that's interesting. That is a whole different approach. Um, that might work or not work. Now here's one here called the question: the foster parent of my baby refuses to meet me. What if she is permanently given my child? Okay, the article further goes on. Okay, because it wasn't crystal clear to many of you, I've added a clarification below the first sentence, and now I'm done with people tell me what's what I'm wrong, or that was what I experienced as a foster parent is untrue, or that I should stop giving advice if you're not 100% true. It's true. And then they said in the article, my experience is true 350 times over. If the OP is allowed to meet the foster parent, now the OP, um, they're not willing, then she needs to tell her social worker then to fix the issue. I'm done with people who comment on my answer if I wrote the question. I'm not the biological mom who wants to meet the child's foster parents. If you're new, I get that. Confuse the time to figure it out. If you've been here more than 6 months, 20 posts, you're not paying attention. Anyway, and those who made the comment both to me and to the OP in a single comment. Now I'm going through and deleting all. Okay, this question is kind of colluded, and I'm sorry, it's going nowhere. I'm trying to bring up to um, things about CPS. Okay, here's another question here. Can CPS put me in a group home if I don't listen to my parents? So this is a young child under the age of 18 is asking. I'm 15. I don't agree with my parents, so I don't want to follow their stupid rules. CPS got called and mentioned to my parents there are group homes for kids who don't listen. Most 15-year-olds are much more smarter than their parents. For instance, they want to do everything you want to do without their parents' approval, but yet they want their parents they want their parents to keep putting a roof over their head, let them eat, watch TV, go to school. They want to help with their homework, have a cell phone, come and go as they please, wash, dry, fold, and put away their clothes, not have a curfew for when they have to be home and go to bed and watch after them when they get sick. Oh, yeah, even sick enough to be taken to a doctor, even worse than ER, and a stint in a hospital. Yes, thank goodness 15-year-olds is that magic age and kids are smarter than their parents. Well, that was interesting. A 15-year-old trying to think it's better on the other side. Um, you don't want to be involved in CPS. It's bad news. It is so bad news. Okay, here's an interesting article. Um, how can I possibly win a fight against CPS? You can, and I can honestly say the reason why I can say that is because I didn't. If I would have known then what I know now, I would have had my children. I wouldn't be a mental wreck most days. I wouldn't stare at kids playing at parks, and I wouldn't be a herder of child craft stuff, a hoarder of child stuff. But I know what to do, and I have become an advocate for parents. I started a page on Facebook, and I have 3,277 days, 9 hours and 42 minutes before my baby turns 18. Oh, I had that time to make the most horrific trauma in my life, complete disaster, and make something so heart wrenching, so mind blowing that until it happens to you, a parent just can't believe it. What I feel every day, of every hour, of every minute is so painful that the word torture doesn't describe it and makes it into a positive. I don't want any other family torn apart by lies by an agency who put a price tag on my baby's back instead of what was in her best interest. She turned 9 on March 24th. It's been 1,101 days, 46 seconds since I've seen her. I wanted to tell you, yes, yes, you can fight and win. You're not alone. Message me if you'd like to help. Oh, really? Great. Huh? She is on the Facebook CPS / family court corruption and then SHHH. That's enough of these articles here. I don't understand. Oh, we got a second person here. Maria coming soon. Well, I assume your first name is Maria, so that is good. Oh, your name is Camaria. Oh, Camaria. Okay, glad to meet you, Camaria. Welcome. What city, state, or country are you from? I'm still waiting to hear from Tanya, who had a question to ask, and I haven't heard from her. I haven't heard from her. I just talked about some articles about CPS, the Child Protection System. No, I'm not a lawyer, Maria, but I have a lawyer that I'm going to give you a chance to talk to. But I have experience 15 years of fighting CPS. My family is turned upside down. What's your question, Maria? Or Camaria? Okay, from Yolo County, California. Well, I have one of my rules about you need to get an attorney. And I have an attorney. I want to thank him for making this podcast possible. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He has a law firm, Vincent Davis Associates, produces his podcast. And I'm very thankful to have him in my life. Now he is a juvenile family dependency lawyer with over 35 years of fighting CPS and getting your kids back. He's a trial attorney. And right now, I made an arrangement with him that he can talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. That's 30 minutes for $60. He can do a consultation on Zoom. And you can talk to him face to face and talk about your case and help you navigate and tell you what to do. You can also talk to him about having him be retained. And he can go over his fees and everything with you on that. And so he right now is up in Merced County in California helping a mother up there. He also goes to Oklahoma. He does every state, including Northern California. He's from Arcadia. And to get a hold of him, to have that consultation, all you need to do is call 888-888-6582. That's on my screen. And when you call in, tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Furthermore, if you want to know the web page that is a direct link to his appointment calendar. It's at the bottom of my screen. It's a ticket running. It's https:// candidly, CALENDLY.com /appoints APPTS, and then VWD /Bob Pace. And that is a direct link, and you can set up an appointment there. He'll do 30 minutes for $60. 30 minutes for $60. That's the arrangement that I've made with him. So, what is your question, Kai Maria? What is your question? Now, I'm talking about the most important thing you can do is have an attorney. Somebody may say, well, I have an attorney. It's a court appointed attorney, he or she, but they will not represent you. They have a caseload of 30 more clients, and they don't have time for your case. They meet you when you're um, at the courthouse right during your hearing. They won't meet you separately or anything, and they won't fight for you because they got other things that they do. They have other things that they do, and they won't fight. They are friends of the court. They're friends of the social worker. If you let the child protection system assign you a court-martial attorney, they're going to say hooray because they know that they'll win their case, and you'll do nothing but learn hard things the hard way. Also, say with your children, if you have a court-appointed attorney for your children, they're all in cahoots. You're going to lose your children. I'm telling you that. So please call in to 888-888-6582. Talk to Vincent Davis. You have nothing to lose. He's a nice man. He has a podcast. He has fought CPS in both civil and federal and state courts. He's won millions of dollars of lawsuits against CPS. He's a fighter. He's one of the best dependency lawyers in the country. That's the law you're in, the juvenile family dependency law. That is the law that you're in. Okay. This is the sad part. I've heard this story before. I'm going to put you up there. K. Marie says, I almost finished paying them the $9,000. I paid $6,000, but due to transition to a new job, my lawyer dropped me, and now I'm back to court appointed with the one I started out with. I am so sorry that you paid it. Hopefully, the money gets back and you get another one. The lawyer I was paying for did not even want to fight for me. Well, what kind of attorney was he? Was he a family juvenile dependency attorney? Was he that one? That's a lot of money. And I am so sorry that you found a bad lawyer. It's very important that for $60 to talk to Vincent Davis, and you may not want to retain him, but at least he can help you and lead you in that direction. But you need to see, at least talk to three lawyers, get three quotes. And you also got to do a background check. See if they won any cases. One of the first questions you ask the attorney, have you won CPS cases? Have you done a lawsuit, a civil lawsuit and won? If the answer to those questions are yes, yes, then that's the attorney for you. You need to ask, how did you find that attorney and how did you screen that attorney? And and you can also report the attorney to the bar. You can report if he's a bad attorney. They don't want their image ruined. So I'm so sorry, Cam Maria. I probably not pronounced your name right, but anyway, Cam Maria, who is from Yolo County in California. I assume that Yolo County is in Northern California, probably near Merced. And as I say, Vincent has a case up there, and he's a good attorney. He will get your kids back. He Sorry, I pulled myself out of the podcast, but I'm back. Um, so anyway, my young social worker who didn't really care about family reunification was on the stand being cross-examined by my attorney, Vincent Davis. And the issue was the adoption of my daughter by my wife's sister and her husband. We didn't want that to happen. So my attorney asked her a question: what kind of parents um, are these parents? And they said they're beautiful parents, do a really good job, they know what they're doing, and so forth. Well, we had them before. They were the first people we put our kids with. When you have your kids taken, you can choose a family member, and they thought it would only take a month. But after a month of them driving our kids to their school of origin and have to take care of it, it was too much for them. It was too much. So they thought by adopting the daughter, they could be better off. Well, my attorney had done some homework, and he pulled out a folder out of his briefcase, laid it on the desk, looked at the social worker, and then asked her, ma'am, would you explain to me about this domestic violence on this date? Well, there was over 30 reports of domestic violence and severe domestic violence because there's physical altercations. And that was the environment they're going to put my daughter in. Well, she had mud on her face. She looked sad, and she left the courtroom crying, okay? Because she lied. She perjured herself. Not only that, I could file a civil lawsuit. If I had the money, I could file a civil lawsuit and win millions of dollars. But it takes about 50,000 to start a lawsuit like that. And I just, after spending my money to get my boys back, I was broke. I already sold my home and I was broke. My credit's ruined. I can't even borrow money because of the child protection system. So anyway, the social worker says, I'm going to retaliate on the parents. You're never going to see your daughter, she told us. We didn't know what that meant, but we later found out. She told our daughter at age 12, you're going to emancipate from your parents. You're old enough to do so. That means you're going to divorce your mom and dad, divorce your two brothers, divorce your grandparents, divorce your aunts and uncles and cousins. Then you're going to change your name, and then you're going to seal your birth certificate and be adopted by a foster care. She did all those things. Children, when they're taken from you, are brainwashed, are alienated. And this has been going on for a year, and it was so sad. It was so sad when that social worker retaliated and did this. We found out about that later. We found out that about later. Anyway, it was hard to swallow. And now our daughter is 22, and she still doesn't want to see us. I don't know what it is, but whatever the reason is, I hope she's happy. It just hurts me every day to talk about it. All right, we've had some people in this room, but not too much activity. And my regulars, I don't know where Natalie is from West Hollywood, or Danielle from Georgia, or Faye from Kentucky. I guess they got themselves busy. Tanya, I'm still waiting for that question. You said you're going to ask me, and also what city, state, country you're from. And Camaria, it looks like from Yolo County, California, that you picked the wrong attorney. Now, I don't know. Uh, okay. What is your question? It's okay, Camaria. I know this is upsetting to you. Ask me your question. I'll try to help you. Please ask me the question. We have about 15 minutes left of this podcast, so ask your question. Now, I talked about rule number 1. I mentioned earlier about rule 2, which is the notebook. You need to organize all your things into an 8.5-inch notebook, a 3-ring binder. And you want to take all your court papers and punch holes in them and put them in your notebook. You want to have subject dividers so you can do the difference here. Okay, we got a call come in. Whoops, we did have a call. They called, they stopped. Let me see what happened here. Okay, we have a caller with area code 530. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
Okay, this is Marcia. Oh, Kamaria. Yeah, you're the one that has the two Maria coming soon, and you're from the county up north. I guess Yolo County. Yeah. How can I help you? How can I help you? How many kids do you have? How many kids do you have? Well, how many kids do you have? I'm trying. Okay. Yes, you can. Yes, you. Yeah. Yes, you can. May I ask a couple questions? Yeah. My question I asked was early on is how many children are in CPS's hands? Okay. And then I'm really sorry about the loss of your daughter. And what you suspect is maybe she was killed by the hands of CPS, correct? Oh, so the child was not in CPS's case. So you had a child that died in the middle of sleep. And again, I'm so sorry to hear about that. And so when you took the child, they did they do a autopsy on your child? Yes. Now, how can they have your child who died in their hands? If it wasn't in CPS's hands, why do they have to? Why are they involved with your child that died? Why are they involved with your child that died? Yeah.
My daughter was going wrong before this when it said that. My daughter had already got that virus that was really hurting a lot of babies.
Oh,
And those
okay.
people who had gotten sick with that, like 2 weeks before, she still had that in her system. So she ended up getting pneumonia also with that. And they're trying to say that the RSV and pneumonia have nothing to do with what happened. That
Who's
that
saying that? Who's
what
saying that?
happened.
Who's saying that?
The doctors are saying that, and CPS is now saying that.
Well,
They
no, the
ended up
CPS can't say that. They're not doctors. They're lay people. CPS are not professional doctors. The only person
the
that
doctor.
can do that is be a medical doctor. And furthermore, why are they interested in your child that was in the hospital for over a month? Do you think you had something to do with that child being placed in the hospital? Is that why CPS was investigating?
Yes, Dr. Safety.
Okay. So what they're doing, and that is really wrong, they should be there sympathetic with you and try to help you. See, the Child Protection Agency, I hate to say it, is a rogue agency. They're corrupt. They don't care about people or human beings. They're not transparent. They won't help you. You're Alice in Wonderland if you try to do it on your own because you're like falling in a rabbit hole and you're going from room to room off with your head and talking to the Chester cat getting nowhere. They are very, very corrupt. And so is the court appointed attorney. They're just lazy. They won't fight for your case. They have a caseload of 30 or more clients, and they're friends of the social workers. Now, why were your other children taken into custody? What was wrong you did to your other children?
That's what they took my. At the time, I only had 2 children with my daughter was my daughter that passed away.
Right, right. But why did
Um,
they? What
but
was the allegation? I mean, did they ever tell you the allegation of your child that was in the hospital?
they had that my children were hospital.
Oh boy. So now that your daughter's dead, you want to see the autopsy, which you're entitled to, and you can request that from the coroner's office. Yeah, I mean, your parental rights
I
to that
did.
child has not been terminated, has it?
No, and I did request those documents. And I went up there and well, I went up there. I called the meeting time to request it. Then I think I went up there to go fill out the form that to request it. I was told that they are on hold now. It's on hold for me, so I have to call the police department
Why is it on hold? Why is it on hold? Is there something they're hiding?
because they're trying if they know I've been trying to fight my daughter to get my daughter back. My children back in my care. I just
Yeah.
had another daughter. That's why 2 of my children can't
Yes.
step down.
Yes.
But
Yes.
because I had my daughter this year, my third child, they came to the hospital and took my child because they didn't know how that got okay.
Yeah. Well, they're taking advantage of you because you don't know the law. See, that's the whole problem. Most people try to do this without an attorney, and it's like doing open heart surgery. If you're going to need a new heart or a valve replacement, are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to have a layperson do it? No, you're going to get a professional doctor to do it. That's why you need an attorney that has experience in dependency law and in family law and juvenile law. Those are the areas you need the attorney to be schooled in. Also, they need to be schooled in the CPS and how to fight them, how to get your kids back.
Yes.
And I'm just so sad you spend all that money and you get the wrong attorney. Did that attorney have a dependency law background?
I believe they said that she just started out not from 58, but
Well, yeah, to start out, I'm talking about somebody like the person I'm telling you to call for $60. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes. That's Vincent Davis. And you really should talk to him. It'd be the best $60 you ever spent. and you can use $60 of that $6,000 you gave that attorney. But at least he is going to be open and honest with you. And as I said, he's up in Merced County fighting a case. I don't know how far Merced is from Yolo County, but he does go to Northern California. And he won't give you any bull. He will tell you how it is, and he'll tell you how to navigate. But you have to understand, child protection will lie. The rules are you never talk to them, you never give them your children. And they have to have court orders. They have to have court orders to take your child. They have to have court orders. I know they do. That's called medical trafficking. They've been doing it a lot lately, and they don't. They should be doing that. You just tell them no, and you say you're going to talk to your attorney. Can I have your name? I'll get back to you. You may not have an attorney, but at least you can stall some time. But when you go to the hospitals, you got to be really careful because there's a lot of medical trafficking going on.
Okay.
I'm so sorry that, I'm on and I'm getting running short of my time here because I have about 3 minutes. But uh, I'm on twice a day, and you can certainly call again. I have no problem, but you call me several times. And as I say, I'm on 14 times a week, so I'm only a phone call away. And I will listen. I will try to help you. I'm dedicated to you guys to get your kids back because, my daughter was stolen and taken away by CPS. And I know the feeling of a lost child. I don't go through every moment of my, years of being involved with it. She's 22 now, but she still won't talk to us parents. She's been brainwashed and think we're awful parents. Anyway, I feel so bad because you first lost a child. Somebody should be compassionate enough to get you your help that you want, your questions or something there.
Um,
Um, I'm sorry for the people listening. They somehow you're drifting in and out. I don't know if you're close to the microphone or not, but they said they can't hear you now. I think what had
can
happened
you
is
hear
that
me now?
yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Hopefully,
Okay. So you said I can subpoena them myself,
sure
like I can
can.
go to
You
the
sure
court and do
can.
that.
What you do is the internet is a good source of information. You just go look up there and go look at Yolo County um, subpoena and whatever the document you're looking for, the steps in the subpoena, and it'll tell you what to do. It'll tell you what to do.
Okay. And you said I can talk to your lawyer for
Yes,
$60. Do
$60.
I have
Yeah,
to call
he's
that
at
number?
888 He will help you. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes for $60. And it's the best $60 you ever spent because he will help you and help you navigate and what to do. You may not retain him, but at least talk to him. At least talk to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand. They're saying your volume was too low at the start of the call. So I'm sorry from one of my listeners.
Which, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but she will try to call him. But please call me back again. I have to sign off now.
Okay.
But I want to thank you,
Okay.
Uh, Katrina, Maria, for calling from Yolo County. And probably
All
that's
right.
your name. And I want to thank Tanya 916. Never heard where you're from. And you can call again. I'll be on again at 7 o'clock. Thank you for all my listeners. God bless y'all. This is Bob Pace signing off.